helps other people find us as well. We're on social media, so we have the Facebook page and we have the Facebook group. To join the group, make sure to answer the questions. There's lots of fun interactions there. We are on Reddit. We have the Reddit page where there's post-episode conversations happen. We are on Twitter, thank you, Joe, where Devin sends out all kinds of weird memes and funny fun stuff, so it's fun, and it is Thinkin' Sideways without the G in the middle. We're on Instagram, so you can follow us there as well.
We're Thinking Sideways podcast, not Thinking Sideways.
Yes, podcast.
Somebody stole our name, damn it.
Actually, I've got to say is that I think Twitter's the only one where we couldn't put podcast on the end.
It is.
Twitter's the outlier in that regard, but we're in all of those places. And last, and of course not least, is if you want to reach out to us and have a conversation because you have questions, or you have theories, or you have stories to suggest,
or you're the bomber,
or you're the zip gun bomber, you're welcome to talk to us, and you can do that by email at our email address, which is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. That inbox is always filling up, and we're always working to empty it, so we are answering emails as quickly as possible. But with that having been said and all of those points covered, I don't have anything else. Do you two have anything else for tonight?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's blow this pop stand, and we will talk to you.
Ta-ta.
Well, that wasn't very explosive.
Boy.
Okay, kaboom!
Perfect.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Sideways, the podcast.
Woohoo!
I'm Steve, as always, joined by
Devin.
Joe.
And Joe. He got his name right this time.
We did it.
I know.
We didn't even have to take 5 takes.
Sir Joe. Yeah.
Sir Joe. Well, that's actually kind of apropos for the story here.
It's a perfect segue.
Why? What are we going to talk about?
Well, tonight's story is the theft of the Irish crown jewels.
Wait, the Irish have jewels?
They did.
What?
They did.
Oh,
not
did.
anymore. Yeah.
They don't have them anymore.
Got it.
They're
Okay.
they're gone.
Yeah. Somebody's got them.
Somebody does. Well, let's just hop right into the story.
Yeah.
Since we prefaced it so well.
Yeah. Hey, you gave away the ending. They got stolen.
I did.
Oh, I don't think
unfortunately.
that's the ending.
No.
That's the middle.
Yeah.
We
We
gotta
gave away
figure
the
out
middle.
Who did it?
So the Irish crown jewels disappeared sometime between the month of June and July 1907.
Wait, I'm sorry. They don't even know when they disappeared?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
It was a really good theft.
What
And
was
you'll
it?
find out why it
Yeah.
wasn't so obvious right away. I think that probably everybody is familiar with the concept at this point of royal jewels or crown jewels. You know, you see the things, the crown or the coronation ceremony, accoutrements, gilded staffs
Yeah,
that are covered in
scepters.
precious metals and
Yeah.
precious stones and all of that. They're like I said, they're brought out for coronations or when somebody famous visits. Well, the Irish didn't exactly have that at this time. We're talking 1907. This is when
Kind of modest as crown jewels.
yeah,
go.
well, this is 1907. This is when Ireland is actually part of the United Kingdom, or part of England, officially part of England. The Irish crown jewels are different because they were part of a small collection of jewels and ornaments that were used by, and I love this name, the Most Illustrious Order of St. Patrick. It's a pretty awesome name, if you ask me.
We should change the show name to that.
We are now
The Most Illustrious Order of.
Yeah.
Thinking Sideways.
All right, well, the order was what is referred to as a chivalric. Is that the correct pronunciation?
As close as I
Sounds
could
right.
get.
Sounds right to me.
Chivalric organization, which chivalric organizations were a thing that originally they were made up of knights and it was in honor, these were guys who were honoring knights who had fallen in the
Crusades.
The Crusades, yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. Well, of course, the Crusades were in the 14th and 15th centuries.
Actually-
So as you move forward...
Oh, wait.
What?
Actually, I think they were before then.
Oh, were they? Well, I know they were a long time ago.
Like 1100, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, they were in the
more than one
1100s.
crusade. I mean, it
Yeah,
was a
well,
recurring thing.
As of about the 17th century, these orders were actually just kind of honorary societies.
Like
were-
debutantes.
Kinda. They were set up by royalty. It was kind of a way to say, you're my friend, you're a really good guy, and I'm going to honor you by inducting you into this order.
Yeah.
Or you had a lot of hit songs, maybe.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, because, St. Patrick, he had a lot of hits.
Yeah.
Greatest hits album. You got to pick that up. It's on Amazon. The Irish Crown Jewels, which were part of the order, there was really only 2 pieces of the set.
Yeah.
It was
Leave
a
it
set.
to my people to only have 2 parts of crown jewels.
Of
course, of
They have
course.
0 right now. But,
Before we get into it, you know what? I had a really hard time this whole time. You guys have watched Family Guy, right?
No.
Do you remember when Family Guy did the history of Ireland? And at one point, Ireland was this giant utopian, super scientific civilization.
And then we discovered beer.
And then somebody developed whiskey, and suddenly they burned and razed the cities, and they were no more.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
I can ever remember is I think a Family Guy one too, right? Is when they like fly into Ireland and the landing strip is it's just covered in beer bottles. They just like crash land into like a pit of beer bottles. Yeah, we should clarify. I'm definitely super Irish. I think.
Yeah, I've
you
got some
guys
Irish
have some
blood in
Irish
me.
I'd probably have a little in
We don't
me.
mean we mean
No,
it in
no,
fun
this is-
jest.
Oh, no,
This
we
is
love
just
Don't-
the funny that I couldn't help but
Yeah,
thinking of
yeah.
as I was doing this. But
Yeah.
all right, well, back to the story.
Back to the seriousness of the Order of St. John's or St. Patrick.
The Order of St. Patrick's, the Irish Crown Jewels that were part of it, the 2 pieces were a 8-pointed star of St. Patrick, which was a jeweled star. It's 8 points.
Had lots of jewels in it.
It had a shamrock in the center that was made out of emeralds.
That's so obnoxious.
And there was a diamond brooch, which was called the Grand Master's Badge. And the badge was made with rubies, emeralds, and at the time they called them Brazilian diamonds, which was evidently the highest quality, clearest diamond they had available.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah,
I did not know this.
that's what they used. And written in diamonds on this badge in Latin, it said, "Who will separate us?" with a question mark at the end, but I didn't write
Yeah,
down
in
what,
Latin.
what it is in Latin because I'm really bad at Latin.
You should have. I'm really good at it.
Yeah. Well, I forgot.
I know.
To give you kind of an idea of the size of these 2 pieces, the star was about 4 1/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches, so it was kind of a square. And the brooch was about 3 inches across by 5 inches tall. So these are
Like an index card.
yeah, think of it. It's about the size of your hand almost.
With
The
lots
ballpark. I mean, that's a big piece of jewelry that you can hold in your hand.
A lot of precious stones there.
Yeah, and what they would do is they would pin them on the and stuff that they would wear, and so the star was worn by one guy and the badge was worn by another, and it was the sign of your office. It was really what they did.
Which is just so silly because silk just can't hold diamonds like that. Jewelry
Yeah, but
that
when you're
heavy.
rich, it doesn't matter because you only use it a couple of times and then you get a new one.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to the theft. The Irish Crown Jewels were stolen, and they weren't the only thing that were stolen. At the time, there was also several gold collars for the Order of St. Patrick.
What's a gold collar?
All right, yeah, this took me a while. A gold collar is basically a giant gold chain that would be worn around the neck. If you think about
Yeah,
some of the...
but
go ahead.
it's not really draped around the neck and the
It's across the shoulders
Exactly.
and across the chest.
It goes way wide of the neck. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually touch the neck.
The easiest way I can think of this is if you ever look at some of the old paintings of royalty, like let's say Henry VIII, and you'll see he's got this big gold thing that comes off his shoulders and droops across the front of his chest. That's a collar. That's what they call the collar.
Okay.
It's basically just giant bling.
So it's not like an actual like button-on collar.
No.
Like we wear on collared shirts. No.
No.
Okay. Okay.
That took me a while to figure out because they kept
People-
talking about silk collars that were also stolen. And silk collars were kind of the the ruffly bit with silk that it sat upon. So you put on the silk collar, you pull it over your head, and then you would pull on the gold collar on top of that.
Oh.
So
and it would
these-
hold it in place and stuff.
Yes, yeah. So it's it's fancy. It's fanciness, fancy goldiness.
I'm so fancy.
And the other thing that was stolen at the same time was the personal jewel belongings of the mother of a man by the name of Arthur Vickers. Now, Vickers is going to come up in the story very shortly, but I just want to point out that her jewels were also stolen because they were stored at the same location.
I have to point out that when I was reading through some of the links for this story, I skimmed some of the kind of backstory on this, right? So I missed the part that there was a dude named Arthur Vickers. So when I was reading through it, I just kept thinking, oh, the Vickers.
We thought he was like a vicar.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Vicar.
Yeah, and I was like, why are they adding an S to the end of the vicar?
There's more than one vicar.
Yeah,
If it
you
makes
know,
you-
vicar.
If it makes you feel any better,
Yeah.
I did the same thing. And I'd
Good,
read this
it's
thing
not
like
just
5
me.
times before
Yeah.
I finally slowed down enough to realize what
Yeah.
was going
You realized
on.
who
Okay.
Arthur Vickers was?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay. Well, here's what happens. Here's the backstory that I think will help. Is according to the statutes of the Order of St. Patrick, the jewels, along with any other regalia that they might have, was to be safely guarded by the Ulster King of Arms. So that's a title.
Okay.
The statute also said that the jewels, and I'm reading directly here, shall be deposited for safekeeping in a steel safe in the Chancery of the Order of Office of Arms of Ireland. That makes sense. Put them in a safe. Put them in a steel safe so they're locked up.
Put them in a safe in an office,
Mm-hmm.
that has access from only this one dude, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Here's the problem, is that from the year 1881 to 1903, the order had operated out of Dublin Castle, and it was in a location that's called Birmingham Tower. In 1903, though, they moved the order from that tower to the upper castle yard into Bedford Tower. So they moved locations. Essentially, they changed where they were at. And when they moved, it required that they had a new safe made because the safe that they were using, I'm guessing, was bolted to the floor.
Like you do.
Like you do.
Or it could have been set in concrete, too.
Yeah.
Something to keep it from being picked up and easily moved.
Exactly.
Always a good idea.
Generally.
The problem is that when the new safe was made and delivered, they discovered it was too big to get through the door into the strong room where it was supposed to be
See,
stored.
that's the hilarious thing, too, is the annals of incompetence, is they custom built this strong room to hold this safe, and they made the door too small. And the amazing thing is, it must have been a really super strong room because they couldn't widen the doorway or partially.
It's in a tower that is hundreds of years old, so you're not just going to be pulling stones out of the doorway to open it up and try and put them back in. I know that just doesn't work. It's just a bad idea.
Yeah. Anyway, so it wound up in a new location.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now we talked about Arthur Vickers. He at the time was Ulster King of Arms, and he was the guy who was responsible for the safekeeping and storage of the Irish Crown jewels, along with all the other, regalia that they might have,
And his grandmother's jewels.
and his mother-in-law's jewels,
Sure.
or his mother's jewels.
Why not?
Well, rather than freak out and say, you need to make me a new safe, or you need to fix this, because the guy who made the safe said, oh, well, we can totally fix that. I can make
my
a new
mistake.
safe.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, it's fine. Just put that in the library, and we'll just use it in the library.
Would
No, I
Totally
thought,
okay.
I thought he put it in his office. I thought they put it in Vickers' office.
No, it was in the library. Because there was a bunch of other cases of stuff that was stored for display, and they stuck it in the library.
Why? I just feel like, was he the kind of guy who had his office because he was related to somebody?
No, well,
That's a good question.
He got the office, I think he was given the office in 1902 or 1903, and he was given the office by the king. He did something to impress the king to be elevated to Ulster King of Arms by the King of England at the time.
Interesting.
Is it a particular? I always wondered exactly what he did.
It doesn't say. I never could find exactly what he did to get this honor, to be elevated to this level. But he just said, "Oh yeah, no, it's fine. Just put it there. No big deal." Let's move forward. That was 1903. We're going to move forward to 1907. On June 11th of 1907, it's confirmed, there's accounts that the jewels were removed from the safe and they were shown to a man by the name of John of the Duke of Northumberland at
Not
the time.
John Hodgman.
No.
John
Hodgson.
Hodgson.
Did I say Hodgman?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't famed millionaire, deranged millionaire John Hodgman.
No, was not him.
He'd be crazy old at that point anyways.
Correct.
Sorry.
On July 3rd of 1907, the cleaning lady showed up for work, and she found the front door unlocked.
Yeah, and I couldn't totally tell. I don't know if you found out if this was it the library door, was it the safe door, was it the front door to the whole building?
The front door of the building is my understanding.
I think it was the front door of the building, but I could never confirm exactly what the quote-unquote front door was.
It was always the cleaning lady finding this stuff.
Yeah,
that
or the
lady,
butler,
that
right?
lady had to find everything.
Yeah, several days later, I mean, after this, she discovers the strong room door has been left open.
Well, yeah, you're jumping ahead on me a little
I
bit,
know.
but you're right.
But then, okay. She's always finding stuff that's unlocked and open.
3 days later, she finds again, this is July 6th, she finds the door to the strong room is open. But, nobody's worried about it. Nobody thought anything of it. No big deal. Later that day, though, Arthur Vickers, had sent a messenger to the safe. Evidently, they had received the collar of a deceased knight of the order. And he said, hey, take that down to the safe and put it in the safe. At which point the messenger discovered that A, the safe was open, and B, the jewels were gone.
Well, at least they didn't get that collar.
Was it the cleaning lady? I mean, did she steal them?
We don't know.
I mean, it seems like that, right? Like, if you were the cleaning lady and you were going to do a theft like this, you would totally be like, hey, when I came in today, those doors were open. I'm sorry, I know we're jumping ahead.
Well, no, and there's some facts about locks and keys.
Sure.
That will help, I think, clear the cleaning lady of her possible suspicion, but then again, maybe not.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to know about this safe, it had 2 locks on it, and so 2 locks, 2 keys, but did those 2, that's my understanding, is that, at least from some
I understood that it was 1 lock, 2 copies of the key.
Well, in
2
some,
original copies.
Yeah, in some readings I've seen that, but in other ones I see it looks like the safe had 2 locks with 2 separate keys, and so.
Which you would kind of want for security, right? It's like every time you see on TV where it's like, oh, we gotta launch the bomb that's gonna kill humanity. You've got to have at least 2 different people with 2 different keys.
And
yes.
and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I think the way that I understood it, there was 2 copies of the key because Vickers, as his position dictated, was always supposed to have 1 copy of the key with him, and then he was also supposed to have a second copy of the key locked and stowed somewhere in his residence. So I got the impression that it was 2 copies of the same key, not 2 locks with 2 individual keys.
That probably, I mean,
Now,
for the time.
Yeah, okay, but then the cleaning lady clearly could have done it, because when she found the strong room open, the strong room was there was a door, an outer door, and then there was an inner gate, bars.
Well, and she found the inner gate was locked.
But somebody had left the key in the lock, and there was a ring of keys hanging from that, and it turns out it was Vickers' key ring, I believe. So probably the key to the safe was on that key ring, so she could have boogied in there, got the crown jewels, stuffed them down her bodice, and then turned the keys into lost and found.
That's one of my favorite phrases in the world. And
Bodice?
stuffed it down her bodice.
I know.
I was going to just shout out that technically bodice is not a thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, you're just no fun. Thanks for killing all the fun. We'll just move forward with the story now.
She hid it in her underwear, okay? You happy? Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, the Dublin Metropolitan Police and the detective branch. These
Yeah,
are
I guess
two
we got
separate
a little,
groups.
little away from ourselves.
Yeah, we did. These are two separate groups that are investigative groups that are, of the Royal Police Society, for lack of, I made up that phrase, but they're the police.
Sounded legit.
They went ahead and they investigated the theft. They determined that no doors have been forced open. The manufacturer of the safe, remember the guy who built it too big?
Yeah, and was like, well, I'll fix it.
Yeah, he showed up and said no duplicate key had been used. And by duplicate, I took that to mean that if somebody had made a rough copy, and we'll talk about some rough copy stuff later on, but if you